Hey, Guy from New Plastic, and today we'll revisit skin texturing in Octane, but this time using the standard surface material. This is a relatively new type of material in Octane that was introduced as a way to sort of better align with the material workflows of other render engines. I haven't really been using it since I'm so used to Octane's universal material, but ever since I started working with Redshift and lately also Blender, I've been much more familiar with the standard material. After someone on the New Plastic Discord has recommended it, I took a look at it. Shout out to you, Hugo.psd. I took on the challenge and was really pleased with the results. For this video, I used a free model by 3D Scan Store, which honestly, they have the highest quality of human models and textures by far. I'll leave the link in the description for this free model. And that's something that's important to realize about skin textures. You really need super high quality textures if you want to get realistic results. High quality 3D scans will obviously give you the most realistic texture maps, but with today's texture painting tools, you can also get crazy textures just by painting. Either way, getting high quality albedo in normal maps is crucial. Okay, enough talking. Go check out the New Plastic Gumroad store where you can find amazing material packs and models. I'm sure you can find great stuff there to improve and optimize your 3D workflow, and it's a great way to support the channel. Another way to support the channel is to buy some prints and pins I made on the Pink Eye Gumroad, and of course consider supporting on Patreon or membership, where you can watch these videos with no ads, get access to these project files, free products from the store, and other cool perks, but mostly help me make more and better content for y'all. Follow me on Instagram at ojang or the channel at brandnewplastic. Join our Discord, subscribe, make sure you eat enough fiber because you probably aren't. Let's go. Okay, so I have this scene here with all the imported objects. I already textured the eyes and hair, which was very straightforward. I didn't texture the tongue and teeth because they don't really matter for this video. Now, very quickly, you can see the model here at real life scale, which is very important, so make sure your head is scaled appropriately. I have this small light coming roughly at a 45-degree angle, and this HDRI kind of filling from this other side. And actually, I'll turn this light into an IES light and add an IES texture just for some extra detail. If you want to know more about it, check out my Octane light tutorial. And you can pause to see my kernel settings. A really important thing to pay attention to is the ray epsilon. If it's too high, you'll get nasty artifacts in tight areas of your model, like the eyes and mouth. If it's too low, your model will look faceted once it has subsurface scattering. It's a pretty common issue with how SSS is calculated, so make sure you get the right balance in the ray epsilon. For me, it was 0.00003, so 4 zeros. And I got ACES tone mapping turned on and lowered the exposure. It doesn't really matter. Okay, let's add a standard surface, and let's unfold the specular layer, SSS layer, coding layer, and Sheen layer. Now let's add the texture files. In this model folder, it's in textures, JPEG, and face, and I'll just select all these and drop them into the material. And if we go back and into the masks folder, I'll also add the face details mask and the micronormals. The micronormals is just a generic tileable skin port texture that I'll use across the whole model. And I'll use this face details mask to mask it out of certain areas like the eyelids and lips. This mask texture makes a huge difference, so if you don't have it in your model, you can quickly paint one in Photoshop. It's very straightforward. I'll just organize these quickly, and I'll change the color space of each info maps to non-color data. So the albedo map I'll leave as is, but all of the rest of them that I use as float or normal data, I'll change to non-color data. This is particularly important for the normal maps, and will generally make sure the information in the maps is calculated as it was intended to be and not distorted by color transforms. Another thing you should do is change the type of all the black and white maps to float, just to save some VRAM space, especially with these huge 8K textures. I forgot to do it here. Okay, plug the specular map to the specular weight channel, and you can see it's super detailed. It's got all the pores and everything. If yours doesn't have the pores and wrinkle detail, you can just multiply the cavity map on top of it, roughness map into the specular roughness channel, and the albedo map I'll plug into the base layer color and the SSS color. Oh, and I forgot to add the SSS weight map, so I'll add this face scattering map, which you can see is masking out the SSS effect in the eyelids, which always end up way too red or translucent looking compared to the rest of the skin because they're just so thin. So this is good to have. Change color space to none, and if I turn on SSS weight all the way, you can see it's just a mess. So first thing, I'll bring the scale way down, which will reduce the distance of the light penetrating the object, and that's very much dependent on your model scale, which is why using real world scale is important. So 0.05 is still too much, 0.01, is a bit better. Let's change the radius color to something very red, and this will affect the color of the light scattering inside the object. And now we can reduce the scale even more, so 0.008. That's better, but you can see how the eyelids have this obnoxious red glow, so I'll plug the SSS mask to the SSS weight channel, and this really fixed it. And if I solo this, you can see, wait, it's inverted for some reason. It's just a bug. Let me try and refresh the view. There you go. So yeah, the eyelids are much darker, which means less SSS. And we can add an Octane gradient to it and adjust it even further. So maybe I want a bit more SSS there. I can change the blacks to more of a gray. So the SSS is still very much reduced in these areas, but it's a bit more present. Okay, let's add a composite texture with 2 texture layers and mix these normal maps together. I'll plug this into the normal channel. And okay, let's unplug the top layer first and zoom in here. So the bottom normal map is the base normal map that is mapped onto the whole model with all the base details. Very beautiful. And the top layer is the micro normal map, which is way too big now, so let's scale it way down. And you can see we're getting all these fine pores on top of everything. We can scale it down even more, so you can just barely see them. The good thing about this map is that you can get really tiny pore details that your base normal map texture won't be able to show you unless it's like 16K resolution. Now let's blend them together. So on the top layer, I'll change the blending mode to reorient normals, which is an amazing way Octane allows us to blend between normal maps. Something you can't just do with a simple mix node or a regular kind of blend mode. And there you go. Now you can see we added this fine detail on top of the base details. And lastly, I'll add this face detail mask to the top layer opacity channel, which will remove some of this pore detail from the inside of the lips and the eyelids, since we don't have these kind of pores in those areas. This is very important, especially on macro shots like this, as you can see. Okay, awesome. Looking really good. But there are a couple more steps that will really take this to a higher level. So first I'll add another composite texture node with 3 texture layers. I'll also add a color correction node to the Albedo map and plug it into the first layer. And I'll plug the whole composite texture to the base color and the SSS color. And in the color correct node, I'll increase the contrast and saturation. Not too much to not completely distort the color, but just enough to add just a little bit more detail to the map. This just allows me to squeeze a bit more juice out of the Albedo map, but you really don't want to overdo it. Now, I don't have a cavity map for this model. If you do, you can just use it, but here the Specular map has a lot of the cavity information, so I'll plug it into the second layer using an Octane gradient. I'll change the blend mode to multiply and pull the white notch of the gradient in to kind of clip the whites out, so we're just left with the black pores. And I can reduce the opacity a bit, but now you can see we added more contrast to the skin pores and made them pop out a bit, which really helps the detail hold up against the softness of the SSS. You don't have to overdo it, a little goes truly a long way. I think the SSS is still a bit too strong, so I'll bring down the scale to 0.004. So you can see we're still getting that red softness, especially in the nose, but without that gummy bear look. Whoops. Okay, yeah, this is awesome. Very subtle, but still just there enough. It's natural to want to overdo it with the subsurface scattering because it really brings out the fleshiness of the skin, but too much will make it look kind of gummy, so try to just do it enough. Always look at the thinnest parts of the model, like the nose and the ears. Okay, yeah, this is really coming together. Alright, for the third layer here, I'll add a curvature node. Bring down the radius, change include object mode to self, change type to concavity, bring offset all the way down, and just play with the radius till I get this inverted ambient occlusion effect. I'll add an Octane gradient to it and invert the notches so the cavities are black, and change blend mode to multiply, and this does the same thing as the pores layer but on a larger and softer scale, darkening some of the larger cavities, and just adds a bit more subtle contrast and detail to the Albedo map. Okay, I'll just bring up the power on the base normal map to 1.5 just to bring out a little more texture, nothing too extreme. And let's move on to the next step, which is really crucial in my opinion, adding a secondary specular channel, which you can look at it as sort of mimicking the subtle oily coating on the skin, bringing an extra layer of complexity to the specular channel and will generally make the skin look more alive and real. For this, I'll plug the specular map into the coating layer weight channel with an Octane gradient. I'll push the black notch in slightly to break this up even more and make the white notch more of a light gray. In the coding layer setting, I'll keep the roughness low, so around 0.1. Feel free to play with the IOR, anywhere around 1.5 should be fine. And you can see it looks really plasticky now, so to actually control the roughness of the gloss, I'll use the normal map. Now if I just plug the normal map we have into the coding layer normals, it'll just spread it out the same as the base specular channel and we really lose the effect. So we need to make the coding normals much weaker. To do that, I'll add an RGB node set to 0.5.51, which will give us that neutral normal purple color, basically what would be a normal representation of a flat surface. And I'll use a mix node to mix it with our normal maps. And I'll plug the mix node into the coding normals, and now by changing the mix amount I can control the strength of the normal map in the coding layer. And you can see the weaker they are, the more glossy this layer will be. So by keeping the coding roughness low and using the normal strength to adjust the spread of the gloss, we're getting this beautiful and natural looking shine to the skin. It's still very much textured according to the skin imperfections and pores and doesn't feel plasticky. So you can see the difference between weaker coding normals on the right to stronger coding normals on the left. By shifting the normal mix amount, I can really control the look of the coding layer more precisely. And I can also make the white notch on the coding weight gradient brighter to bring out the gloss even more. So now the coding layer is stronger, and again comparing between stronger normals on the right and weaker normals on the left. So if you want a more oily skin, you can increase the coating weight and reduce the coating normal strength, and for less oily skin you can reduce the coating weight and increase the coating normal strength. Yeah, that looks really good. I feel like a lot of artists are afraid to push this gloss because it can kind of feel fake and plasticky, but doing it the right way will really make the skin pop and come alive. Yeah, look at all this super subtle but effective gloss detail. Amazing. Okay, we're looking gorgeous. Let's add one more thing, and that's the sheen layer. This isn't a crucial step, but I feel like it has a great effect if it's used wisely. If I just turn it all the way up, you can see we're getting this extreme velvety look, which looks pretty bad. So first, I'll change the sheen color to a very bright cream color, so almost white. Next, I'll add an Octane noise layer to the sheen weight channel. And if I scale it down and up the contrast, we're breaking up the uniformity of the sheen, which already looks better. And I'll add an Octane gradient to it and make the whites more of a middle gray and the blacks a dark gray. And if we compare this to without any sheen, you can see we're getting a subtle effect. You can see here on the jaw, and more importantly here on the nose, which is really where this effect is most powerful, because what I'm really trying to mimic is the effect of a subtle peach fuzz on the face, which is mostly noticed on the nose, around the lips, the cheeks, the jaw, the forehead, the ears. But here you can see we're also getting it in the eyelids, which we shouldn't really get. But yeah, here on the cheeks, it looks really good. So we should add a mask layer that removes the sheen from the eyelids and the lips, which is super easy. I'll open the Albedo map in Photoshop, and on a new layer, I'll just paint the lips and eyelids in black. Something like this, black on white, save as a separate JPEG, and bring it into the material. And multiply this map on top of the noise, and plug it into the sheen weight. And yeah, I really love the sheen on the nose. Yeah, looks fucking good, dude. Okay, lastly here, I want to go over adding a displacement map. So I have my displacement map here, and you can see it's a TIFF file, which also most likely means that its bit depth is 16 bits. I'll drag it into the material, change color space to none, type the float since it's a black and white image, and plug it into a displacement node. But before I plug it into the displacement channel, I'll change some settings here. So first I'll change resolution to 8K, which matches the displacement map I have. And in Octane, the mid-level for 16-bit displacement maps should be 0.5. If it was a 32-bit EXR, I would put the mid-level at 0, but my map is 16 bits. And the height depends on your map and your model scale. Normally, displacement maps like these don't have an arbitrary height amount. They're exported with a very specific height, so to match perfectly the details of the face. I usually usually start with 1 centimeter, and for 32-bit displacement maps, especially if your project is using the same units as the original project the model was exported from, 1 centimeter should work in Octane. In my case, I had to scale up my model to bring it up to real-world scale, so 1 centimeter height was too extreme for this model. So I brought the height down to 0.1 centimeter. My advice here is to start from 1 centimeter and then go in 10x increments. So if 1 centimeter seems too much, go to 0.1, and if it's still too much, go into 0.01. And if we plug the displacement node into the displacement channel, you can see we're getting some noticeable displacement in the lips, some nice subtle pore detail, but you might also notice that the model is pretty significantly more red, and that's very common when using displacement and subsurface scattering. In Octane, it kind of makes the SSS radius color much stronger and more pronounced, so a quick way to fix it is just to make the radius color brighter. So instead of a super saturated red, we'll just make a brighter red. And you can see now the albedo is looking nice and natural, and we're still getting that nice red glow on the thin parts of the skin. Okay, if we zoom in on the lips here, you can see we're getting a nice bumpy texture, but the crevices look too dark. That's because the curvature node is darkening all those crevices way too much now. So I'll just reduce the opacity of this curvature layer to like 0.15, and I'll also reduce the opacity of the cavity layer. Now that we're using actual displacement, we don't really need to darken the crevices as much as we did. Another thing we can get rid of now is the coating layer normals, because the coating layer will get the bumpy texture from the displacement channel. If I compare with coating normals on the right to without on the left, the coating layer is still really textured and bumpy, and it's even a bit too sharp now. So unlike before, now I can just increase the coating roughness to make it less sharp. And yeah, that looks nice. Let's zoom in here on the eye. Looks nice. Let's increase the key light strength and see how the skin is reacting to it. I think the coating layer is too masked out, so I can bring back the black notch of the ramp that's connected to the coating weight to expose more of this layer. Yeah, that seems a bit better. I'll just test this out with different light setups. This is actually really important. Testing your material under different light angles, different light temperatures, indoor lighting and outdoor lighting, harsh and soft, looking at the material from different angles and different distances. This way you can really make sure your material actually looks good and doesn't just look good under a single light setup that you use to create it. For example, testing it with a harsh sunlight will really expose issues with your material since it's just so harsh and unflattering most of the time. If we zoom in here, I really like how the pores have this soft redness to them, not too opaque, not too gummy. I mean, this model doesn't have the most interesting details, to be honest, because it's just kind of like a plain looking young woman with this really smooth and young skin, but still we're getting some really nice and subtle detail here. I think one way to test out the realism of your skin material is to use a really harsh spotlight coming right from the camera, kind of simulating a camera flash. It's usually a pretty unflattering light that makes your models pretty flat, but look at this, I love how this looks. I don't know if it's just me, but it's really creepy how real it looks. I mean, the eyes and the expression obviously look fake, but the skin looks fucking awesome. If your skin material looks good with this kind of light, you're probably nailing it. Okay, that's it. Really powerful. It makes me want to go back and see if I can get such good results with the regular universal material and improve on the previous skin tutorial I made 3 years ago. Can't believe it was 3 years ago, holy shit. Okay, next one I'll probably do a Redshift version of this tutorial. Check out my Gumroad store for all sorts of goodies. Consider supporting on Patreon because you know I just couldn't do this without the help of these beautiful patrons and members you see on the screen right now. Love you all. Have a great day. Peace.